When does an ordinary day suddenly flip into the day your whole life changes? I had just moved back home to Cleveland, Ohio after finishing my first year of college. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, just until I landed a job and saved enough to get my own apartment. My parents seemed glad to have me around, though my mom, Linda, kept gently hinting that I should start looking for places near campus. One afternoon, I was scrolling through job listings on my laptop when I heard the front door open. My dad, Michael, walked in hours earlier than usual. That alone was strange. He didn't call out a hello like he always did. Instead, he headed straight upstairs without even checking the living room to see if anyone was home. A few minutes later, I heard drawers opening and closing. Curious, I went upstairs and found him in their bedroom packing a duffel bag, not his regular work bag, the one he only used for weekend trips. I asked why he was home so early, and he jumped like I'd caught him doing something wrong. He mumbled something about grabbing things for work, but that didn't make sense. When I pressed him, he zipped up the bag and finally said, "Things are complicated. Your mom and I need a little space." I just froze. My parents never fought. Not once in my life had I seen them raise voices at each other. They'd been together for 25 years and still held hands walking through the grocery store. I asked if they'd argued, but he just shook his head, kissed me on the forehead, and left. The second the door shut, I called my older brother Daniel. No answer. Then I texted my sister, Melissa, and she called back instantly. I told her what happened, Dad packing up and leaving. She thought maybe it was just a work trip, but when I said he told me they needed space, she went dead silent. Then, "I'm coming over. I'll bring Evan with me." They showed up about an hour later. Melissa went upstairs to look around while Evan and I sat at the kitchen table in awkward silence. He muttered that my parents always seemed so solid. I nodded, insisting they were. That's what made all of this so confusing. When Melissa came back down, she looked pale. She said Mom's jewelry box was gone, along with half the stuff from the master bathroom. We agreed to wait for Mom to get home. In the meantime, Melissa called Daniel again. This time, he picked up. She put him on speaker. When we explained that Dad had left, Daniel didn't even sound surprised. He just asked, "So, did Mom finally tell him?" Melissa shot back, "Tell him what?" But Daniel quickly backpedaled and told us to wait and talk to Mom. By the time Mom came home around 7, the three of us were sitting in the living room like we were waiting for an intervention. She stepped through the door, saw our faces, and froze. "Dad left," I said bluntly. "He packed a bag. He said you two need space." Mom sank into the recliner with a sigh. "He wasn't supposed to leave yet. We were planning to tell you this weekend." "Tell us what?" Melissa demanded. Mom looked exhausted. "Your father and I are separating." I felt my chest tighten. "Why? You don't even fight." "That's the problem," she said softly. "We don't talk. We haven't for years." It didn't make sense. I'd just been home for Christmas a few months ago. Everything looked normal. Melissa asked if there was someone else. Mom shook her head. "No, we just grew apart." But something felt off. About 15 minutes later, our neighbor Mrs. Grant stopped by to borrow some sugar. She glanced at Melissa in surprise and said, "Oh, Linda said you'd be here Saturday for the family meeting." After she left, Mom shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should just get everyone together now." Daniel arrived an hour later. The first thing he did when he walked in was look at Mom and ask, "Did you tell them yet?" That's when I lost it. "Tell us what exactly?" Mom took a deep breath, folded her hands, and dropped a bomb. "Michael isn't actually my husband," she said quietly. "We never legally married." The room went dead silent. Mom explained that when she was younger, before meeting Dad, she had married another man. His name was Robert Wallace. She thought the divorce had gone through, but apparently there was a problem with the paperwork. By the time she realized she was already pregnant with Daniel, she and Dad decided to just have a ceremony and deal with the legal stuff later. Only they never did. Melissa's jaw dropped. Daniel, however, just nodded grimly like he'd known. Mom went on. "Robert had resurfaced recently. He was sick, out of money, and had tracked her down. He threatened to expose everything unless she helped him with his medical bills." I asked if that was why Dad left, because Robert was blackmailing her, but Mom shook her head. "No," she whispered. "He left because I told him I'm going back to Robert." Melissa and I spoke at the same time. "What do you mean, going back?" Mom's eyes welled up. "He's my husband. Legally, he always has been, and I never really stopped loving him. It felt like the air had been punched out of my lungs." I turned to Daniel, demanding if Dad had known. He nodded. Apparently, he'd found some old letters years ago. That's why Daniel had moved out so abruptly. He couldn't stand watching Dad live in denial. Before we could even process all this, Mom checked her watch and said calmly, "Robert's coming to pick me up in 10 minutes. I'll be staying with him for a while." That's a moment everything